So after chaos broke out at the Nevada Democratic Convention last Saturday, Debbie Do Anything for Hillary Wasserman Schultz, the DNC chair, went on a media speaking spree, and rather than trying to unite the party, she decided to take a side and blame Bernie Sanders. So here's what she said on MSNBC.
The Democratic National Committee is neutral when it comes to this primary. That having been said, the reports that I heard from this weekend's Nevada Democratic Convention were seriously disturbing. And I did listen to that young Sanders supporter just now, and the process that she talked about, perfectly reasonable, understandable, that it may have resulted in some frustration, although, frankly, the Credentials Committee in the Nevada process was evenly split between Sanders representatives and Clinton representatives. But be that as it may, the proper response to frustration over process is never violence and intimidation. So if they were frustrated over the way the process unfolded, there is an appropriate civil and orderly way to address that. But throwing chairs and engaging in violence and threats, graffitiing the Nevada State Party headquarters with threats as well, is absolutely unacceptable and should be condemned by Senator Sanders directly and unequivocally. And his supporters should make sure that they take steps to not allow this to happen anywhere in the country again. But the fact that the Sanders campaign has issued a but in between condemnation of violence and frustration over the process seems to excuse their supporters' actions, which is unacceptable.
So my favorite part about that is she said, quote, "The DNC is neutral when it comes to this primary."
The Democratic National Committee is neutral when it comes to this primary.
She said that with a straight face, mind you. She said the Democratic National Committee is neutral. Oh, Debbie, you lack self-awareness on so many different levels. Also, she claimed that chairs were thrown, which is a lie. There's a video of someone picking up a chair, but he put it back down and he hugged it out with someone. So that's a lie, and she said it multiple times. Also, she said the fact that Bernie Sanders issued a but after his condemnation of violence seems to excuse the violence. Oh, really? So you're really trying to make Bernie Sanders appear as though he condones violence or that he excuses it? He said, "I condemn the violence and harassment." What more do you want from him? Maybe it's the case that matters aren't always black and white. Yes, he condemned the violence, but it is the case that the world is nuanced. There's also the fact that the Democratic Party in Nevada was also guilty. They rigged the system. You see, they committed political violence. That's also unacceptable and detestable. Are you speaking out against that? Absolutely not. You claim the process is fair when we have video evidence of them taking a vocal vote and the nays had it, but yet the party chair, Roberta Lang in Nevada, said, actually, you know what? You can't debate me. You can't challenge me. I say yay. That's not okay. Actions have consequences. And you see, the fact that the Nevada Democratic Party rigged the process of the Nevada Democratic Convention specifically to disenfranchise Bernie Sanders supporters, well, Debbie Do Anything for Hillary doesn't care about that because she's done the same exact thing on a national level. So she probably sees what Roberta Lang is doing and she's applauding her, saying, oh yes, please continue to rig it for Hillary, even though we don't actually need to, but let's just do it anyway to piss off Bernie Sanders supporters because I hate them so much. It's unacceptable. The amount of contempt that she holds for us is really unnerving from someone who is the head of one of two major parties in the United States. So she also went on CNN and she denied that the process was unfair, even though we have video footage that it was wholly unfair. So take a look at what she had to say.
However legitimate you think your concern is, that you respond to that concern with civility and in an orderly way, and that in no way is it ever acceptable to condone or to ignore violence and intimidation against officials with whom you're frustrated.
The Sanders campaign says, and also said here on New Day, they don't obviously condone any type of violence or threatening behavior, that was wrong. They say the senator himself said the same thing. And that they don't understand why you said that his response was unacceptable. They say what's unacceptable is having Harry Reid call them, and they say basically tell them to settle down, that it was an intimidating tactic.
Well, when you know, with all due respect, when there is a but in between condemnation of violence generally And after the word "but," you go on to seemingly justify the reason that the violence and intimidation has occurred, then that falls short of making sure that going forward, this kind of conduct doesn't occur in the future.
So in case you didn't notice, she really loves that talking point about there being a but after condemning violence.
Has issued a but in between condemnation of violence.
So to summarize what she's saying, Bernie Sanders and his supporters are wrong. Bernie Sanders and his supporters have a penchant for violence, and nothing the DNC or the Democratic Party establishment ever does is wrong. But please come and vote for us in November when Hillary Clinton is inevitably the nominee, please. This is ridiculous. I can't believe that she would expect us to remain in the party. Sorry, but July 29th, National Dump Dems Day. I'm switching to an independent. I'm not going to be part of a party that rigs the process, that is wholly undemocratic.
Being bullied by the chair is not debatable. It cannot be challenged, and I move that I announce that the rules have passed by the body.
Now, Bernie Sanders' campaign heard what the DNC chair said and fired back saying this.
I mean, it's been pretty clear, Steve, almost from the get-go, that she has been working against Bernie Sanders. I mean, there's no doubt about it. For personal reasons. Whether it's that debate schedule that we had, that very confined debate schedule that we had with debates scheduled on weekends where no one was going to be watching, whether it was this joint fundraising agreement that they have with the Hillary Clinton campaign, which is taking money out of state parties. Whether it's these standing committees where they've appointed really hostile Hillary Clinton partisans against, to head these committees at the convention. I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz has really been a divider and not really provided the kind of leadership that the Democratic Party needs going forward.
For personal reasons, what you say she's doing this for personal reasons, what do you mean?
Well, I just think if you talk to other high-ranking Democrats in the Democratic National Committee, which I do with some frequency, I would say that there is not unanimity in terms of her tactics and her responses throughout this campaign. I mean, if you think back to that issue where they shut off Senator Sanders' access to his data shortly before the Iowa caucuses, I mean, that was a unilateral action taken on her part. Believe me, there was tremendous pressure inside the party structure for her to relent.
So you think she's greasing the skids for Hillary Clinton?
No, I don't really know what her motivation is, but it's been clear there's a pattern of conduct from the beginning of this campaign that has been hostile to Bernie Sanders and his supporters, and really, she's really become a divisive figure in the party.
Okay, let me ask you this. If the process has been unfair, if you have not gotten a fair shake in this process, can you, if Hillary Clinton does win the nomination, if Hillary Clinton's the Democratic nominee, can you unite behind her, somebody who won what you believe is a rigged process?
Well, let's not confuse what Debbie Wasserman Schultz has done with some kind of broad-based indictment of the process. I mean, there clearly are process issues, I think, that have to be resolved going forward to make the party more inclusive and open. But do I think the party is going to come together to defeat Donald Trump? 100%.
So I like the fact that he said what should have been said a long time ago by Bernie Sanders' campaign, that she's divisive. She's dividing Democratic voters. She's consistently been tipping the scale in favor of Hillary Clinton since the beginning. Finally, what took you so long? I like that he said that. That was a strong response, but there were two areas where I actually was not impressed with Jeff Weaver's response. So particularly, he was asked the question, when you say Debbie doing this for personal reasons, what do you mean? And he didn't bring up the direct conflict of interest. Debbie do anything for Hillary Wasserman Schultz, who is now the DNC chair, who's supposed to remain neutral, ran Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2008. Isn't that a direct conflict of interest? And seeing that the DNC has to remain neutral, shouldn't she have stepped down from her position, seeing that Hillary Clinton is running for president? Why hasn't this been brought up? Why didn't you mention that, Jeff? It's so frustrating. Because if the DNC chair is supposed to remain neutral under their party rules, then she's violating the rules of her own party that she's supposed to be leading. What would have been right is if she stepped down. That's what would have been right. Now also, he was asked, did he or did he not get a fair shake? The answer is simple. No, he did not get a fair shake. Jeff didn't say that either. So not only was there brazen election fraud and vote purging in states such as Arizona, New York, Nevada, but the entire corporate media establishment has been doing propaganda for Hillary Clinton since she announced her candidacy. To give you an example, The Intercept discovered that paid Hillary Clinton operatives who are lobbyists and who are on the Clinton payroll, people who are supposed to be disclosing this conflict of interest, they've gone on the mainstream media and have pretended to be neutral Democratic strategists. That's not okay. They're doing propaganda for Hillary Clinton when they have a conflict of interest that's not being disclosed. And furthermore, Hillary Clinton used her big media platform to slander Bernie Sanders and his supporters. She alleged that Bernie Sanders is sexist, alleged that Bernie Sanders is racist. And yet, in spite of all of this, you expect us to say that the process is fair? Of course the process isn't fair. And what's frustrating to me is that the DNC has done any and everything possible to help Hillary Clinton get ahead in this election, yet all that this pundit is worried about is whether or not Bernie Sanders will support Hillary Clinton. He said, oh, hey, Jeff, when Bernie inevitably loses, he's going to tell supporters to get behind Hillary Clinton, right? Right? Is that what he's going to do? Well, here's the thing. As a Bernie Sanders supporter, I think I could speak to this. So if you would have asked me this last year, if I would have supported Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders, well, before I witnessed the election fraud, before I witnessed the media propaganda, before Hillary Clinton decided to slander not just Bernie Sanders, but his supporters, before David Brock said that Bernie Sanders doesn't care about black people, before we were called violent by the media, before Bill Clinton called us sexist, before Hillary Clinton told us that we don't do our research and we believe Bernie Sanders' lies, maybe I would have said, I might vote for Hillary Clinton. But after seeing all of this, do you want to know what my response is when I'm told to fall in line and support Hillary Clinton by the media, by Hillary Clinton, or by the Democratic Party establishment? This is my response. No, thank you.